Hi, this is Kaushik Ranchod from the Ranchod Law Group, and today we're going to talk about what qualifies as extreme hardship for I601A waiver case. So you're going to want to stay tuned to watch this video, and we're going to talk about that in a case study too. So we're going to talk about some of the forms of extreme hardship and how those can be used to qualify and demonstrate extreme hardship. So first of all, let's go to the basics. What makes you qualify? So typically the I601A is if you've entered without inspection. That means entering without a visa. So when you enter without a visa and you are married to a U.S. citizen spouse or lawful permanent resident spouse, or you have a parent who's a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident, you could qualify for I601A waiver. Now, what's really important to know, one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, well, how does the hardship to me affect the case? So it doesn't really, the hardship to the U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident is the hardship that matters and what you need to demonstrate. So now we are going to talk about the different types of hardship. So the first type of hardship is financial, and with financial hardship, the way that you can demonstrate this is if you're separated, if your U.S. citizen spouse is separated from you and looking at all of your income and what your expenses are. And this is if your U.S. citizen had to go with you to your home country or if you're separated. And the next form of hardship is emotional hardship. So in emotional hardship, you could include a statement from a psychiatrist or a psychologist that explains the emotional hardship that you would face. Now, mere separation is not enough. So it needs to be, your hardship would need to be more than mere separation. Typically, if you have a psychological or mental health issue, this is something that could demonstrate extreme hardship as well. And what's important to note is that it's not just one form of hardship, it's combining a number of factors of hardships. All right. Now I'm going to move on to another form of hardship. Another form of hardship that we argue are your home ties to the United States. So how long have you lived in the United States? What's your education history? What's your career history? Do you have U.S. citizen family relatives? So that is also another important factor of hardship, are your ties to the United States as well. The converse of that is also if the U.S. citizen had to go to the home country or lawful permanent resident had to go to the home country, what are some of the negatives? So lack of access to education, pollution, is your safety also at risk depending upon what country you're from? Those are so we'd like to talk about, the specific negatives that you're going to face as well by going to the home country of your spouse or parent. If you have a child with special needs, that is also a form of extreme hardship as well. So one would be is if your child had to go to the home country, they may not have the same kind of access to resources as you would in the US. And then also the separation as well could exacerbate the child's issues that has special needs. And a lot of times children with special needs require more attention from both parents, and to have a separation could increase the harm to that child. So let's say you're qualifying based off of your U.S. citizen spouse or lawful permanent resident. The child's hardship in and of itself is not going to be counted, but indirectly it does affect you as the U.S. citizen spouse or the lawful permanent resident, so it's still important to include in the application. So those are some examples of extreme hardship. Now we're going to look at how these specific hardships that we talked about could play out in a case. So I'm going to talk about a case that we got approved so you can see how these hardships actually affect a case. And in this situation, client was from Mexico and the spouse was a U.S. citizen father, and they had 2 children. And a deep dive into the spouse's medical history revealed a medical condition, and by talking about that medical condition, we demonstrated a form of hardship through that medical condition. So with that spouse's rare medical condition, we also talked about how that would not be covered by the government in Mexico, or the insurance system in Mexico. They wouldn't be able to get insurance to cover that. Another form of hardship in this situation was the student loan debt of the spouse. Had significant student loan debt. Although the spouse had a good job, to get there, he had to take student loans. So if they were separated, if he had to go to Mexico in this situation, then that would have caused perhaps a default on the student loans. And then the fact of having 2 U.S. citizen children, that of course was another hardship, because raising those 2 children as a single parent would cause financial strain on the household, and that would be another form of hardship. So by combining all those forms of hardships, we were able to get an approval. And that's how you take, look at all. So what we like to do is look at all the different types of hardships and see which ones you qualify for. So each case is unique, and we like to evaluate which one works for you. So I invite you to call us to discuss this further, to see if your case qualifies, or put a comment below, and please smash the like button. And I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time.